class is a plank-free flow. We'll be weight bearing a little bit in quadruped positions like cat-cow and downward dog, but we won't be doing any planks today. If you really want to stay off your hands completely, you're welcome to take any quadruped movement like a downward dog or a quadruped on your forearms. So if you really want to completely get off your wrists and not weight bear on them today, you can either take your cat-cows, your quadrupeds in this forearm position. You can even work on a dolphin pose today if you'd like to stay off your wrist in downward dog. So there'll be a few options, but we'll still do a flow and move through our kneeling, standing, balancing postures just without any planks. Starting on our backs, setting up for bridge pose. Check that the sacrum is down so there's no arch between the low back and the mat. Shoulder blades are down and the back of the skull. Keep your hands on your pelvic points as you lift up and just create a little bit of resistance. We're going to press our palms into our pelvic points. Our asanas is right at the front of the hips. Press into your feet. Curl your tailbone up as if you're curling your tailbone up towards your heels. Right away, squeeze your glutes. Use your glutes to lift into this very low bridge. So we don't want to lift too high. We really just want to feel that the pelvis is neutral, meaning it's not tipping forward, it's not tipping backwards, it's not tipping side to side. So we're really thinking about those pelvic points right under our hands, drawing in toward each other. They won't actually move, but just think, what muscles would need to move in order to bring those pelvic points closer together? Hold your bridge, make a fist, reach your arms up toward the ceiling. Keep squeezing the glutes, start to circle your wrist, both directions, whatever type of movement feels good here. Moving the wrists and the forearms. Hold that activity in the glutes. Bring your arms back down to the sides of your body. Slowly lower your upper back down, middle back, and lower back. So as soon as the sacrum comes down, interlace your hands behind your head. Draw your elbows in. Big inhale here. Exhale, curl up off your scapula. Tuck your chin towards your throat. Now make sure the sacrum is down and we're not having that arch in the low back. Look at those pelvic points, and again, try to draw those two pelvic points in and just notice what that feels like around the low belly. Inhale to lower. Exhale as you lift. Chin towards your throat. Now I want you to feel like you're really leaning your head back into your hands, but try to lean it back without lowering the shoulder blades back down. Inhale to lower. Exhale as you lift. Chin towards your throat. Draw those pelvic points in. Look at where your belly button is and imagine that your belly button could pull straight down toward the mat. Keep that feeling. Extend the right leg any amount. Lower down. Inhale to lower. Exhale as you lift. Chin towards your throat. Belly button draws down toward the sacrum. Extend the left leg any amount. Lower the left foot. Inhale to lower. Exhale as you lift. Tuck the chin toward the throat. Draw the belly button down. Extend the right leg. Lower the right foot. Inhale to lower. Exhale as you lift. Chin towards your throat. Belly draws down. Left leg extends. Lower the left foot. Inhale to lower. Good. Hug your knees in toward your chest. Take a little rock side to side. Making our way into quadruped. Coming onto hands and knees. But again, if you want to stay off your wrists completely, lower onto your forearms here. We're going to stretch it out with cat-cow, so you're welcome to move at any pace that feels good. Feeling the pelvis tip forward here as the chest softens, belly drops a little bit, and pelvis tips backwards as we round the back. Heading into downward dog, or again, take dolphin if you'd like to stay on your forearms. We'll tuck the toes, lift the hip creases up. If you're in dolphin or downward dog, walk your feet forward quite a bit so you can really bend your knees and lift your hip creases up without straightening your legs. So we want to keep the knees bent as we get this big upward lift into the pelvis. Even feel those front ribs lift up toward the back body. Weight stays in the hands. Walk your hands back towards your feet, coming into our happy squat. Really moving the hip creases back. Press into the toes and the heels. Make sure that your knees are over your ankles. Think about a broom behind your back touching the back of your skull, shoulder blades, and sacrum. So we don't want to round and collapse here. We want to hold everything nice and strong as we rise to stand, walking to the top of the mat. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up. Lift your shoulder blades up towards your ears. Exhale, hinge at the hips, so hips move back as we keep this long spine all the way down. Really bend your knees so you can plant the hands down. We're gonna step back to a quadruped. So again, you're welcome to take this on your forearms. Lift your throat, take 2 rounds of cat-cow, stretching it out. Come back to that neutral spine. Right foot will step through your hands. Lift up for low lunge. Check that upright pelvis. Draw those pelvic points in. Squeeze your left glute. We're going to make a universal fist with our hands. So you can either clasp the hands or just take 2 fists, bring them together, reaching the arms out in front. Now we need to protract the scapula here, reaching them away from the spine to lift up to whatever degree feels okay. It does not have to be up overhead. That's a lot of shoulder flexion. So if it's more diagonal, totally fine. We just want to hold those front ribs in so they don't pop. So really think about zippering everything up and reaching your fingers out. So it's either 2 fists reaching up or those interlaced fingers, and really get this upward lift, just like that same feeling in downward dog. We want to lift everything up. Lower the hands. Step that right foot back to quadruped. 1 round of cat-cow. Left foot steps through. Low lunge, lift up, check that pelvic bowl. Make sure your shoulders are stacking over the pelvis. Squeeze that right glute to really stretch the front of your right hip. Either bring those fists together or interlace the hands. Reach those fingers forward, so we're protracting the shoulder blades. They move away from the spine. Lift up to whatever height feels okay, and then really get that upward lift so our fingers are reaching up, our ribs are reaching up, and the sides of our body are getting longer. Hold that neutral pelvis. Lower the hands. Step it back to quadruped. You've got the option to take a child's pose. You can stretch it out in cat-cow, or you can go to downward dog. We're gonna take 2 breaths. Wherever you end up, if you're in downward dog, lift your hip creases, lift your front ribs. Bend your knees. As you exhale, walk forward, coming to that bent knee forward fold. Hinge at your hips. Think about that broom behind your back. Squeeze your glutes since we're flexing at the hips. Press into the feet, rise to stand. Fingertips reach up, up, up toward the ceiling. Exhale, hinge. Check that the knees are over the ankles as you hinge. Big bend in the knees so we can step it back to quadruped. 2 rounds of cat-cow. Right foot steps through. This time we'll tuck the left toes. Lift up, checking that same type of low lunge, really stretching the front of this left hip by squeezing that left glute. This time we're gonna let the arms hang and roll the shoulders back 1 at a time. So move the right shoulder, then the left shoulder, and we always wanna make sure we roll the shoulders backwards, since most of us tend to have a little bit of shoulders forward in our posture, and we don't want to reinforce that by circling forward. So you want to circle backwards to open up the tissue at the front of the shoulders, front of the chest. Lower the hands, you can untuck those left toes. Step it back to quadruped. One round of cat-cow. Left foot steps through. Tuck the right toes. Lift up, low lunge. Check that pelvis. Imagine that broom behind you touching the back of your skull. Shoulder blades or scapula and sacrum. Squeeze that right glute, lower the arms. Roll the left shoulder, then the right shoulder back. Good, finding some freedom in the shoulder blades, upper back, ribs, but holding really strong in the glutes and the core so that pelvis doesn't move. Lower the hands, you can untuck the right toes, step it back, either head to child's pose, cat-cow, or downward dog. Check in with your breath wherever you end up. Exhale, bend your knees, walk your feet forward. Big bend in the knees so you can really hinge at the hips, keeping that long spine. Make sure you're not dropping the head down. Use your glutes as you rise to stand. Good, release your arms down. Inhale, reach your arms up again. Exhale, hinge, but pause. We're not gonna lower all the way down. We're gonna sit those hip creases back, feel the glutes kick on. Inhale, straighten the legs, arms up. Reach those shoulder blades up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Standing up tall, check that stacking of the head over the shoulders, over the pelvis. Flex your right hip, picking up that right foot. Squeeze your left glute. Make sure the pelvis hasn't tipped side to side or forward and back. So really hold that pelvic bowl upright. Circle your right hip. Teeny tiny circles in both directions. And really try not to move the whole pelvis. So just that right hip is doing the circling. Standing up tall. Good, step this right foot back, high lunge. Bend both knees. Think about that broom here. Pelvic bowl stays upright. Glutes are nice and strong to hold the pelvis in place. Reach your arms up if you'd like. If the arms are up, lift the shoulder blades up. Get that same lengthening in the sides of the body by really lifting everything up. Hands come back to the heart. Load your left foot. Get ready to put some weight on it. We're going to end up stepping our right foot to the top of the mat. Make it as light and buoyant as you can. So really prep by squeezing this left glute. Try to be as light as you can as you step that right foot forward. Back to this mountain pose. Reach the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, hinge. Pause at that hinging position. Use your glutes. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Flex that left hip. Right away, squeeze that right glute. Draw those pelvic points in. Circle that left hip, both directions. Make it as small as you need so that only that left hip is moving, not the whole pelvis turning. Left foot will step back, high lunge. Both knees bend. Check that upright pelvis, shoulders over the pelvis. Zipper your pubic bone up toward the belly. Squeeze the glutes. If you'd like, arms can reach up. Find that upward lift everywhere. Shoulder blades, fingertips, rib cage. Hands come back to your heart. We're going to step that left foot to meet the right. So prepare by loading a little bit more weight onto that right foot, squeezing that right glute. Be as buoyant as you can as you step that left foot forward. Mountain pose. Inhale the arms forward and up. Reach the shoulder blades. Exhale, hinge. Use the glutes. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Mountain pose. Press into the big toes. Lift the heels. Lower down. Lift the heels. Press into the big toes. Lower down. Hold that pelvic bowl upright. Lift the heels. Lower down. 2 more. Lift the heels. Lower down. Engage the core. Lift the heels. Lower down. Release your arms, right foot steps back, warrior two. Check that upright pelvis. So we want to make sure we're not tipping forward here. Think about your tailbone facing straight down toward the ground. Reach the arms out. Reverse. Inhale. Right arm to the right leg. Try to glide that left scapula up as much as you can. Good. Back to warrior two. Variation. Forearm to your thigh. Right arm comes up and over. Reach that right shoulder blade up and squeeze the right glute. Warrior two. One more time. Reverse. Warrior two. Variation. Forearm to your thigh. Squeeze that right glute. Relax the left ear to the shoulder. Back to warrior two. Fingertips will come to the head of the arm bone, or top of the humerus, top of the shoulder, and we'll hold that neutral pelvis and we'll circle one shoulder back at a time here. So again, we can move the ribs a little bit as we move the shoulders and the scapula, but really squeeze your glutes to make sure the pelvis doesn't move. Release your arms, step it back to the top of the mat, mountain pose. Inhale, arms forward and up, shoulder blades glide up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, use your glutes. Inhale, press into the feet, rise to stand. Hands to the heart. Press into the big toes, lift your heels. Lower down, hold that upright pelvis, lift the heels. Lower down, think about that broom behind your back, lift your heels. Lower down, press into the big toes, lift the heels. Lower down, two more, lift the heels. Lower down, lift the heels. Lower down. Release your arms, left foot steps back, warrior two. Hold that pelvic bowl upright so we don't want it tipping forward or back. Squeeze your glutes, reach your arms out. Reverse it, left hand down, right arm up and over. Glide that right shoulder blade up. So we're trying to get more lift along the right side of the ribs. Back to warrior two. Variation, forearm to your thigh, left arm up and over. Glide that left shoulder blade up and squeeze this left glute. Warrior two, one more, reverse it. Warrior two, variation. Draw those pelvic points in, relax that right ear. Warrior two, hold the legs here. Fingertips come to the head of the humerus. Roll one shoulder back at a time. So ribs can move a little bit, but don't let any of the movement happen in the low body. So keep that tone in the abdominals, squeeze in the glutes as we roll the shoulders back. Release your arms, step it back to the top of the mat. Inhale the arms forward and up. Glide the shoulder blades up. Exhale, hinge. Pause here, squeeze the glutes, keep that long spine. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, hands to heart. Flex your right hip, picking up that right foot. Squeeze the left glute. Tap your right foot to the outside of the left foot. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we bend both knees for a little eagle pose. If you're bending that left knee, we want to hinge again. So we're going to hinge at the hip creases, checking that the knee doesn't go further than the ankle. Knee should be right over the ankle. Think about that broom behind your back. If you want to make this balance a little bit more challenging, pick up that right foot and don't have the toes on the ground. So there's a few options here. Really work that left glute. Continue to draw those pelvic points in. Working the core, working our balance. Good, we're gonna press into that left foot. Pick your right knee back up. Flex that right hip, squeeze the left glute. Step it down, mountain pose. Reach the arms forward and up. Shoulder blades glide up. Exhale, hinge. Sit back into the hips. Think about that broom behind your back. Inhale the arms forward and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Flex your left hip, pick up that left foot. Right away, squeeze that right glute. Draw those pelvic points in. Left foot will tap to the outside of the right. You are welcome to stay here, staying upright. Come into an eagle if you want to hinge at the hips, bending that right knee. Check that pelvic bowl here. Make sure it's not tipping. Zipper that pubic bone up. If you want to load and work this if you want to load and work this right glute a little bit more, pick up the left toes off the ground. Check in with your breath while you balance. We're going to press into that right foot, lift the left knee back up. Step it down, mountain pose. Inhale the arms forward and up. Exhale, hinge. Keep that long spine. Use your glutes to get back up. Hands to the heart. Flex at that right hip. Squeeze the left glute. Now you can stay here just focusing on your balance. You can start to turn your rib cage 1 inch to the right, maybe 2 inches to the right. But again, don't let the pelvis turn. So we're not going to turn in the low back. We're going to keep that neutral pelvis. Any rotation is just happening in the ribs, so it's very small. Squeeze that left glute. Make sure the shoulders aren't rounding forward. Come back to center. Step it down. Mountain pose. Inhale, arms forward and up. Shoulder blades lift up. Exhale, hinge. Send those hip creases back. Use your glutes. Rise to stand. Hands to the heart, flex the left hip. Pick up your left foot, squeeze that right glute. Draw those pelvic points in. Stay here or rotate only in the ribs, not the pelvis, over toward the left. Keep that feeling of zipping that pubic bone up. Chest stays open, so we're not going to round forward. Back to center. Step that left foot down, mountain pose. Inhale, arms forward and up. Glide those shoulder blades up. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, press into the feet. Reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge. Come all the way forward. Big bend in the knees. Plant the hands, quadruped. Cat-cow. Cat-cow in any way that feels good. You can move side to side with the hips. You can move the rib cage or the shoulders side to side. Whatever feels good. Coming to child's pose, feel free to take the knees as wide as you'd like. Hinge your hips back as far as you comfortably can. We're going to take a side stretch while we're here. So instead of the arms coming straight forward, we're going to walk the hands over toward the right corner of the mat. Maybe bring your left palm all the way on top of the right. And just rest the head wherever it feels good. So by reaching the arms over toward the right, we should be getting some kind of stretch or pull along the left side of the body. Big breaths in and out. Walk the hands through center over toward the left corner. Maybe that right palm stacks on top of the left. Stretching the right side of the body. Really feel like you could breathe into the back of your ribs. Come back through center. We're going to come onto our backs. Finding that triple S. Sacrum is down, shoulder blades are down in the back of the skull. Pick up your left foot, flex it, cross it over your right thigh. Figure 4, stick with this, or maybe pick up your right foot to go a little bit deeper. Hands can stay on your body, on the sides of your body, or you can goalpost them. Just check in with whatever option feels best today. Keeping that sacrum down, if you want to add a little bit of rocking side to side, you're welcome to add a little gentle movement here as we stretch that left hip. Eyes can close if that feels relaxing. Release that right foot down, then the left. Switching sides, pick up the right foot, flex it, cross it over the left thigh. Hold that sacrum down. Keep your whole triple S down. If you want to go deeper for that right hip, pick up that left foot any amount. It doesn't have to lift very high. Just see what feels good in that right hip. Any option with your arms. Try to keep your chin towards your throat, keeping that neutral neck. Maybe rock a little side to side. Release that left foot down, then the right. Keep your knees bent. We're going to roll onto our left side. Feel free to bring the thighs as close to the belly as you'd like, keeping that long spine, so we don't want to round or twist the low back. We want to hold that neutral pelvis. Left arm can come wherever it feels comfortable, and the right arm will reach up and back for a little rotation, but again, we only want to twist where the rib cage is. So I don't want you to twist in the low back, especially if you tend to have any SI or low back pain. Really work on only twisting above the pelvis. So just in that thoracic spine where the rib cage starts, that's where you'll feel the rotation. If this is a little too much sensation, having that right arm out in the front of that right shoulder, you can goalpost that right arm, and that will be a little bit more gentle of a pull in the front of that right shoulder, right side of the chest. Keep that feeling of zipping the pubic bone up toward the belly, supporting the low back here. Undo your twist, roll through center, set up on the right side. Bend the knees as much as you want, bring them in toward the chest if that feels good. Work on holding that neutral pelvis. Right arm can come anywhere. It can be up, straight out, bent. Good. Left arm will reach up and over. So again, we don't want to feel any of that rotation in the low back, just where your rib cage is. That's our thoracic spine. Maybe goalpost that left arm if that feels better on the front tissues of that left shoulder. Feel the whole rib cage expand as you inhale, front, side, and back. Undo your twist, roll back to center. If you need to take a little extra movement before Shavasana, take your time, make any extra stretches or movements. Whenever you feel ready, come to any comfortable position on your back. Try to feel that triple S, back of the skull, shoulder blades, and sacrum. Take any option with your arms and legs. Whatever feels restful. Eyes will close. Come back to whatever your natural breath is. Visualizing that you could release any tension as you exhale. Staying here in your Shavasana as long as you'd like today. Allow yourself as much time as you need to relax. Feel this calm and stillness in your mind and body.